So the back consists of a group of muscles that many people struggle to build because you can't see them in the mirror, and so it becomes difficult to develop the mind-muscle connection. For me, I've really been trying to focus on improving my back over the past few years, and the results have shown. I've also experimented with various exercises to see which ones are most engaging. So in no particular order, I'm going to share my top 10 back exercises that have helped me grow my back and are the best for building muscle in my opinion. So I'm going to start off with 5 lat exercises and then move on to 5 for the mid traps. I'll also explain the correct way to do each of them. So let's get into it. Alright, so we're going to start off with wide grip lat pull down. For me, this is superior to pull-ups for bodybuilding. I'll explain why later on. When you're performing the pull down, you want to flare your lats out at the top by adjusting your elbow position. Also, protract your shoulder blades forward, getting that deep stretch. Now, as you think about contracting your lats, you're going to depress your shoulders, sit back ever so slightly, drive your elbows towards your hips on the way down, thinking about pulling the bar to just under your chin. You don't need to go any lower as your lats will be disengaged. Really think about squeezing your lats as hard as you possibly can at the bottom while keeping that chest up. Also, to point out, you want to make sure your hips are pushed into the pad and your feet are flat so that you don't move around, as this will just cause you to focus on stabilizing everything else rather than the muscle you're trying to work. So next we have the cable bar pullover. Honestly, you can't get a better stretch than this if you perform this exercise correctly. The stretch you get is incomparable to any other exercise. So at the top of the movement, again, flare your elbows out to the side to engage the lats. Place your palms over the bar as a hook, as you can see here, as this will place all of the tension on your lats as you drive down. If you hold the bar like this, then you'll end up using more forearms. So push your palms over, rotating the wrist, adopt a 45-degree position with your torso as you come down. Keep the elbows flared out and drive the chest up, pulling the bar towards your hips. This way you'll get a good contraction in the lats. So at the top, retract your shoulder blades forwards, getting a deep stretch, and as you drive down, retract your shoulder blades back, keeping your elbows flared out and pulling with your lats. At the bottom, squeeze your lats and slowly control the eccentric. If you perform this exercise correctly, you will experience that pump and feel your lats widen. So third on the list, we have single arm dumbbell row. Now this exercise generally is performed incorrectly, which is why it gets a lot of stick. It's a hard movement to grasp. Firstly, you need to position your upper body correctly. So if you're using your right arm, then put your opposite leg in front. Hinge your hips back, bend both knees, keeping your back straight. Now here's where many people get it wrong. Instead of pulling diagonally in line with the lats, they end up using way too much biceps and just pulling up and down. This is the incorrect way of performing it, as a lot of the tension will go onto your biceps instead of the lats. So instead, protract your shoulder blades forward and in front. Think about driving that weight towards your hips in a diagonal position. This is how you want to perform the exercise to target your lats. So fourth on the list, we have the 45-degree single arm pull down. For me, this is one of the best exercises to build your lats. Not only are you pulling in line with the muscle fibers, but you're also taking the stabilization of other muscles away. Also, by doing one arm at a time, this helps you to focus on that particular side. And that's why isolateral exercises are very important when it comes to improving muscle imbalances and building muscle mass, so don't neglect them. So for this exercise, you want to set up a bench at 45 degrees, set up the cable pulley to the top. Now sit the opposite side of the bench, hold the bench with the opposite arm to stabilize yourself. Lean over to the side you're working ever so slightly to engage the lats. By depressing your shoulders, think about driving your elbow down, not back but down towards your hips. Squeeze at the bottom and slowly control the eccentric back up. This is a great exercise for the top and bottom portion of the lats. So lastly on the list for lats, we have single arm machine rows. I prefer this over cables because of the angle I'm able to get with the machine. It's an unorthodox way of using the machine, but it works. It's similar to the previous exercise, the single arm pull down, but it's just in a different plane of motion. So the way I like to do this is by using the narrow grip, stabilizing myself with the opposite arm by holding onto the pad. Again, I'm going to lean over slightly to the working side, protract my shoulder blades forward to get that deep stretch. Then without moving my body, retract my shoulder blades back and think about driving my elbows down and towards my hips. This will help you get the best contraction in the lats without compensating with other muscle groups. And always remember to slow down the eccentric. It should be half the speed of your concentric. Now notice how I have not included pull-ups in this list, and that's because I don't believe pull-ups are the best for building your lats. The issue with pull-ups is that you have to stabilize your core and your entire body to avoid swinging, meaning that you have to think about other muscle groups when performing the exercise. And this is why you see so many beginners struggle with this movement, because they haven't learned how to control their core. Now, as an all-round exercise, this is one of the best as it teaches you body control. However, from a bodybuilding perspective, if your goal is to just build your lats, then this isn't one of the best because you have to think about the other muscles involved. taking away your focus from the muscle you're trying to build, in which case are your lats. So now let's look at the 5 best mid-trap builders. So firstly, we have the T-bar row. Now the T-bar row is a great mid-back builder if you do it correctly without swinging. You want to protract your shoulder blades forward, getting a nice deep stretch in the mid and upper back. From there, you want to drive your elbows back, keeping your chest in a neutral position. And then you're going to pretend there's a pencil in between your shoulder blades, and you want to squeeze that pencil as hard as you can, really contracting the mid-traps. Now with this exercise, you want to control the weight on the eccentric portion, and once you start feeling other muscle groups kick in, that's when you've reached the point of failure. Now next we have the seated cable row. So I prefer using a wide grip for this as opposed to a close grip because I'm able to flare my elbows out, which allows me to get much better contraction in the upper back. With this exercise, you want to have a slight lean forwards as you stretch, and then when you pull back, you want to keep an upright position with your torso. And again, pretend there's a pencil in between your shoulder blades, and you're going to squeeze that pencil as hard as you can, contracting the mid and upper back. You don't want to lean back too much because when you do this, you're going to take away the tension from your mid traps, and it's going to put more tension onto your lower back and your arms. So guys, make sure to keep a strict form when doing this exercise to really gain the benefits. So next is the chest supported machine row. Now I really like this exercise because as long as you keep your chest on the pad at all times, it takes away any momentum and any swinging involved. So you just use the muscles you're trying to work. So with this exercise, keep the chest planted on the pad at all times, protract your shoulder blades forward to get a good stretch in the back, and you're going to drive your elbows back, keeping your elbows wide, and concentrate on squeezing the mid traps. Fourth on the list is the chest supported dumbbell row, another chest supported exercise. Now I love these kind of exercises because it takes away the swinging as your chest is planted on the pad or the bench. For this exercise, sit in the reverse position on an inclined bench and make sure your chest is supported at the top of the bench. So you're going to bring the weight forward and drive the dumbbells diagonally towards your hips as you come up, getting a good contraction in the upper and mid back. And make sure to keep your elbows as close to your sides as possible during the exercise. Also worth pointing out to keep your feet wide and your heels flat to stabilize. It can be a little bit of a tricky exercise at first to navigate because it can be a bit uncomfortable. So just play around with positions and just see what is most comfortable for you. So lastly, we have the cable Y raise. Now this is a very underrated exercise in my opinion for not only building muscle, but also really strengthening the mid and upper back region, because this particular movement is all about muscle control and stability. So you want to get a box or a bench and grab the opposite sides of the cable with opposite hands, and you're going to drive the cable up in a Y position. Your entire back will burn with this exercise. You also want to hold the contraction for around 2 seconds to really experience the burn. I would also suggest to do higher reps for this particular exercise. So as you can see, I haven't included any barbell rows or normal T-bar rows without the chest support, because in terms of bodybuilding, they're not the best exercises to do, as you have to focus on stabilizing your spine and your core just to control the weight during the entire movement. So a lot of the focus shifts onto other muscles, and that's why I haven't included them on this list. So guys, if you want to build your back, then make sure to include these 10 exercises into your program. And if you enjoyed the video and found it helpful, then do me a favor, smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, then do me another favor and hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell notifications. Also, comment to boost the algorithm. And if you're looking to get shredded for summer, then I recommend watching this video next. And remember, stay natty, stay clean, and peace.